The parishioners are exceedingly anxious and most desirous to have the sisters in their midst. The climate is wonderful. I have lived in France, in England, in Australia, and in different parts of the South Sea Islands, but nowhere I find a climate so good, healthful and agreeable as that of Temuka. Listen, there will be many vocations for religious life after the young girls of my parish know what it is to be a nun and the advantages of religious life for salvation. Finance is available. We have £100 in the bank to pay your passage. I have expended nearly £20 to furnish your house. Finally, and no doubt he thought most effectively, was his personal devotion to St. Joseph. I send you herewith enclosed a little St. Joseph to help you to arrange all things for sending in due time a band of 4 missionaries to Temuka. I expect to see him coming back again to me in about 6 months, accompanied by the aforementioned little battalion.
I think that New Zealand can really claim our foundress Mary MacKillop as a saint of Australasia, because she came to New Zealand and spent 4 times she came to New Zealand, and sometimes she spent up to a year at a time visiting the sisters, the children, the parishioners, the bishops, and was particularly interested in Rotorua, where because she had rheumatism she used to go there to the baths for some relief. She also had a lot of relatives in New Zealand. There's a letter where she writes to her brother Donald saying, don't forget to visit our cousin in Fielding, and especially remember our old auntie in Wellington, because she was a great friend of Mama. And I saw the other day a chair in the cathedral in Auckland saying Mary MacKillop's chair. And when I went up to look at it, it was from a station in South Canterbury, and they said that Mary MacKillop visited them, they were relatives, and that she would sit on that chair. So I think that Mary MacKillop is very much, it can be claimed very much as a saint of New Zealand as well. So we think of her as the saint of Australasia.
I kept on saying, these women aren't true religious. They're not living in big convents. They're going out amongst the people. They're riding horses. They're going out at night to visit, people. But when I lived at Mount Street and doing our teachers' training, some of the young sisters would go out with some of the older sisters to beg for money. That's how they survived Providence. She was an amazing letter writer. They're absolutely delightful, some of these letters. We didn't know that we had this record, and somebody was going through the archives about 3 or 4 years ago and found all these memories of the sisters, written in 1925. When staying at Waimate, the sisters were preparing the children for their first Holy Communion. On the first day, Mary noticed a very poor, ragged boy in the group, and fearing insights from the other children, Mary asked if she could take the child aside and prepare him for his first Holy Communion. This she did, and he rejoined the group on First Communion Day in a beautiful suit that Mary had purchased from her meagre funds, lovingly attaching his medal to the lapel. Mary's keen eye always sought out the less fortunate, and if she couldn't visit the family, she would send her sisters to see into the family's need. A family had lost a small child in death, and Mary sent 2 sisters to visit them, giving them a sovereign to leave on the dressing table. She had gone to visit a community, and she had been quite hungry. She'd been doing a lot of travelling, and so the sisters were preparing something for her to eat. She was tired and hungry. There was a knock at the door, and when one of the sisters went to the door, there was a poor half-starved man, badly clothed. And this is what the writer is saying. "Would you give me a bit to eat, miss?" he said. "I can get no work in this town or anything to eat, and I'm very weak." Mother followed me to the door, and when she saw the man, she said, "Sister dear, give that poor creature what you had ready for me. The very appearance of him would draw tears from a stone. A cup of tea and a slice of bread and butter will do well enough for me. It will do me more good to give him a dinner, poor old man." perhaps some father that the world has been hard with. My dear child, we must do all we can for the honour and glory of God.
So all of us are saints, all called to be saints, all called to be holy, but the church says these people have lived lives that mean they can show us how to be holy, how to be saints. And so they're listed on the canon, or the list, and the process is called canonisation. People like Mary MacKillop, who are sainted because they have lives of heroic virtue, as well as proving that their lives tells us something of how to be holy, how to be extraordinary in the ordinariness of their everyday life. They also have to be so in touch with God that we ask them to pray on our behalf. So Mary's life was recognised as being the kind of life that was an example of how in the ordinary, everyday frustrations and joys of our lives we become saints, but also various people have petitioned her and asked that she pray to God that they might be cured or helped in a difficult situation. And at least 3 of those have been accepted as genuine movements of the Spirit that Mary has interceded on somebody's behalf. And so she's been raised to the canon of the saints, the list of saints.
Mary desired to be church to those around her. She chose to go where there were no churches. The real need was to have the church go out to the people. We could take that to heart today, couldn't we?
And I think the relevance is around, if you look at what she represents at a time when people are needing to feel included in things, she has an egalitarian, large-hearted expansiveness. Anybody who resonated with the needs of around, she worked with them, worked in partnership with them. I think for young people and Australasian culture, it sort of fits in with the culture of doing things differently down under, and one of her sayings was no distinctions among us, never see a need without trying to do something about it. So it appeals to young people, the practicality of it all, and I think there's a hunger in people for spirituality too, and she represents somebody who is grounded in her God, and her God was big enough to include everybody. So there's something about action, a good head, a good heart and hands, and then gathering people to make a difference in our world.
I do think that we need good role models in our world today, and I think somebody like Mary MacKillop, who was there for others, who was really who reached out to other people, who was a very forgiving, compassionate woman, and I think somebody like her is a great example, particularly to our young people, but for all people really. So.